Okay, so let's just dive right in. At work, in our personal lives, pretty much everywhere, there's this one big question we all wrestle with. How do I get better? Right? How does my team or my entire company actually improve its performance? You'd think it would be simple, but it turns out the answer has been buried under this mountain of complexity. Well, until now, that is, thanks to some incredible research we're going to break down today. So let's just ask it, point blank. What really drives performance? And this isn't just a question for a manager trying to hit a target or a new hire figuring things out. It's a fundamental puzzle that stumps pretty much everyone, all the way up to the CEO. We all want that secret sauce, that one simple truth that unlocks our potential. So, in this massive study published in the Academy of Management Annals, researchers went looking for that truth. And the very first thing they found was this number, 239. That is how many unique, distinct theories about performance they found in all of management literature. From agency theory to upper echelons theory, 239 different ways to explain what makes us and our companies tick. Now, having 239 theories isn't just a lot of choice. It's a state of what the researchers literally call theoryoria. It's a jungle of ideas that are disorganized, disconnected, and a lot of the time they flat out contradict each other. So it's no wonder we're all confused. One expert tells you to focus on culture, another says it's all about individual incentives, a third claims strategy is the only thing that matters. It's a mess. So that brings us to the first part of our explainer, the performance puzzle. We're going to look at how this team of researchers basically decided to become detectives, to cut a path straight through that jungle of confusion, to find a clear, simple answer. And when I see their investigation was massive, I mean it was nothing short of epic. Just look at these numbers. They reviewed over 15,000 articles from 44 top journals, covering nearly 80 years of research. This wasn't about just finding one more theory. This was about analyzing every single clue ever published to finally solve the puzzle once and for all. And after digging through all that data, their first huge clue emerged. For decades, it turns out, research on performance has been living in two completely separate worlds. One world focused on the big picture, the company, its strategy, its structure. The other world focused on the small picture, the individual, their psychology, their skills. They were studying the same goal, but from opposite ends of the building, and they were barely ever talking to each other. So how did they make sense of it all? Well, the researchers started sorting through all 239 of those theories, looking for common patterns, like detectives spreading out all the clues on a giant table to finally see how they connect. And here is what they found. It's actually pretty amazing. After sifting through everything, they realized that all 239 theories could be boiled down to just 6 fundamental building blocks. On the company side, you have capabilities, structures, and transactions. And on the individual side, you've got KSAOs. That stands for knowledge, skills, abilities, and other stuff, along with roles and relationships. So think about it. These 6 concepts are basically the DNA of performance. It doesn't matter which of those 239 theories you pick up, you will find these fundamental ideas showing up again and again. They're just described with different words depending on whether you're talking about a company or person. This quote, which is cited in the paper, just perfectly captures the chaos they were trying to fix. The problem wasn't a lack of ideas. The problem was that the ideas didn't connect. It was like having 1,000 puzzle pieces scattered on the floor, but no box top to show you what the final picture is supposed to look like. And that observation led them to their big eureka moment. They asked this really critical question. What if the world of the company and the world of the individual aren't separate at all? What if they're just mirror images, reflecting the exact same principles, just at different scales? And that, right there, is the climax of their investigation. That single question unlocked a unifying theory of performance that finally bridges the gap between people and organizations. A simple, powerful model they called CORE. Okay, let's break down CORE. The C stands for capacity. This is basically the maximum potential for performance. For a company, that's its capabilities. It's tech, it's brand, it's money. For you as an individual, it's your KSAOs, your knowledge, your skills, your talents. They're just two sides of the same coin, what you can do. Next up is O for opportunity. Performance doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It needs an environment. A company creates this environment with its structures, its hierarchy, its processes, its rules. And you, the individual, you experience that structure through your specific role. Your role is your opportunity to perform inside that bigger structure. And finally, we have RE, which stands for relevant exchanges. This is how value actually gets created through interaction. At the company level, we call these transactions, making a sale, forming a partnership. At the individual level, we call them relationships, working with your colleagues, your boss, your clients. It's the same fundamental thing, an exchange of value. And it all comes together in one beautiful, elegant equation. After almost 80 years of research, the simple truth is this: performance is a function of your capacity, plus your opportunity, plus your relevant exchanges. And this single model works for you, for your team, and for your entire organization. It's that simple. Now, the key word here is system. The researchers are really clear about this. Performance isn't just one of these things, it's the interplay between all three. Your capacity is totally useless without an opportunity to use it. And an opportunity is meaningless if you can't build the exchanges to make something happen. They all have to work together. Okay, this is all fascinating theory, but what does it actually mean for you? For us. Let's talk about how to put this core model to work as a real practical tool for getting better. So the research gives us this really clear stop-start framework. It asks us to stop working in our little departmental or individual silos, and please stop chasing the latest management fad of the week. Instead, we need to start seeing the big picture, the whole performance system, and start exploring how all the pieces connect. And this is a really big shift in mindset. Instead of thinking my department versus their department, we start asking, how does my role fit into the entire organization? Instead of getting stuck arguing about process versus outcome, we explore how our processes actually create our outcomes. And instead of chasing every shiny new trend, we just focus on the fundamentals, improving capacity, creating opportunity, and fostering valuable exchanges. And this is where the model becomes a super powerful diagnostic tool, because by looking at the intersections, we can ask much better questions. For instance, does a rigid company structure make it harder for people to build the relationships they need to collaborate? Are we developing amazing leadership talent? That's capacity. But we have no open leadership roles for them to step into. That's opportunity. How does a big merger, a transaction, affect the day-to-day relationships of our employees? When you boil it all down, the core model is more than just another theory. It's a map. It's a simple, powerful framework that you can use to diagnose exactly where performance is breaking down, and maybe more importantly, to pinpoint the biggest opportunities for growth, whether that's for yourself or for your entire company. And that brings us to our final question for you to think about. Look at your own work, your own career, right now. Is your biggest opportunity in building your capacity, your skills, your knowledge? Is it in finding or creating the right opportunity, the role and the structure where you can really thrive? Or is it all about improving your relevant exchanges, the relationships that help you create real value? The answer to that question, well, that's your first step on the path to getting better.